This is Big Man Tyrone, and you're about to watch the MtG Cabal cast with your hosts, Woad, Thirsty, and Reptar. Sub to us on all your podcast networks at MtG Cabal Cast and YouTube.
All right. Welcome to the newest episode of the Cabal Cast, guys. We've got a somewhat topical information here for you today. Obviously, we're going to cover the Spellbook Chandra and the Secret Lair. We're throwing a bone to LGSs in the form of fetchlands, which should be great, I suppose.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll get to those takes later.
Yeah.
As well as just the general economy of Magic while all of this stuff is going on, this stuff being basically Corona and events getting canceled. So there we are.
Yep. So we can start with the biggest news, which is that WotC decided to turn on their money printers for the first time in a couple of years. Yep. And they're going to be reprinting the Zendikar fetchlands, the enemy fetchlands. They announced
new arts.
Yeah, late last week that we will be getting a Secret Lair bundle, a super bundle essentially, of all 5 enemy fetchlands, a stained glass walker, and this nifty case that I will attempt to bring up. There's a name for it. It has a hinge, and it's got a spot for all 5 fetchlands in foam, and it's just a lot of bulk for 5 fetchlands, but that is part of the appeal. And with this, we can see the artist credits, and a lot of people are excited about the Seb McKinnon Misty Rainforest. I mean, look, some of them are really nice. The Verdant Catacombs is pretty dope. If you haven't seen them,
get the art up there are some nice ones. I'm just sick of Seb McKinnon's art being jammed down our throats like a feeding tube.
I mean, to be fair, I'll still play the Rob Alexander fetchlands because I think he does landscapes the best. Panoramas not so much, but individual landscapes, yes.
Yeah.
Everything I want to say about this is just a take for later. So factually, we know this is coming May 29th. The announcement is that LGSs that are part of the WPN network will get these first, and typically, quote unquote, each one of these LGSs that applies and is accepted to get one will get somewhere in the neighborhood of 10. That could be more, that could be less. They haven't really said anything much more about this. We don't have a suggested retail price, but they expect that they will cost, quote, a little more than $165, which means essentially we should see kind of bottom floor prices at $165 or maybe $169.99, $170. And I believe if the math still holds, you add up the value at retail, TCG low, of all 5 of the Zendikar fetchlands, it does add up to about that much. Not the Modern Masters 2, but the Zendikar fetchlands. So, all in all, you're being gratis to stained glass Planeswalker and that box on top of your 170 if you can get it at that much. A week after LGS's have been selling this, so in April there will be a super drop like they did previously, where you can buy these like you would any other Secret Lair. And then they also teased in the article that these will be available in an additional way later in the year. And the wording's a little ambiguous. It doesn't clearly refer to the drop itself or the fetchlands themselves. Of note, these fetchlands are non-foil. So if this were going to be in a Masters product later on and they do decide to reuse this art, the primary difference is that you won't get the promo star on them, but you do have the opportunity to get them in foil. So that's neat. All in all, to me, this is I don't think it's a cash grab necessarily. This is just kind of
it's fine. It's a throw a bone to the LGS because we spent the last 2 years dumpstering you as hard as we can.
Giving it to you.
And we know that, we have to make this up to you at some point. So here's this thing that we're going to say we suggest charging $165 for. Mm-hmm. You have a limited quantity. You may or may not actually sell them. Good luck.
Yeah. I think they're going to sell them. I just think that announcing this in the midst of an economic shutdown, essentially, or an economic freeze within the United States is going to wind up badly when they look back on this, and most of them do not wind up in the hands of players, because they're still going to be feeling, the lack of income from however long they're being quarantined, if they were. These will sell, definitely, but you might have other vendors traveling around scooping these from LGSs who weren't able to sell them to their players locally, or routing them much in the same way that vendors did with Modern Masters 1 boxes.
Yeah, or it's just kick the can down the line to the next vendor, and eventually it'll sell.
Yep. My LGS sold out of Modern Masters 1 day of, and I will tell you the majority of those were bought by players who were paid by vendors to buy those boxes, because there was a GP in Providence 5 hours away, and a vendor who was on their way down to Prov
was like, hey, grab them.
Yep. And so they were routed, paid for in advance, and just routed to a vendor. And that's what I assume is going to happen to these, just based on the poor timing of it.
For sure. And I don't think Wizards obviously knew the poor timing when they planned their product launch and all that jazz.
No, not at all.
I will give them credit for that, at least. But I definitely think timing-wise, this is bad. We're hitting wallet fatigue, and wallet fatigue's getting even worse, because
My God,
I think through July, there's a release every month now, and now we've got this on top of all of the other releases that we didn't know about. Mm-hmm. And, the resale on some of the Secret Lair singles has been fine. It hasn't been spectacular. You hit that first opening salvo of like, oh, everything's great, this is phenomenal, let's keep buying these products. And then you have like Year of the Rat and all these other ones, and it's like, oh, this is fine.
Yeah, there's definitely an inverse bell curve on selling these, and it's immediately after they're released, and then again in some period of time when we haven't quite figured it out yet, because this is such a new product. Think about it this way. Do you remember anybody in the last 2 or 3 weeks looking for Theros gods from the last Secret Lair? No. Because Thalia is the thing now. People are looking for ways to get their hands on those additional Thalias. I do know someone that got 4 sets of Thalia because he needed a play set of matching arts. Yeah, or mystery booster stuff. It's all been overshadowed. So there was that immediate sell-off point where it just shot up, and everybody was looking for them, and then it's just dipping back down as we're in this trough of other products. And it will come back around. These things will always come back around, and they will have a price later on. My Kaleidoscope Killers are in storage. Those will come out probably in about a year or two, once a lot of this reprint stuff has kind of died down, and then people begin looking for these a little more actively, just because we're still not sure what a product slate it looks like for a year like this. How many more Secret Lairs are we going to get? How many more Masters or mystery products are we going to get? There's a lot of question about how many print runs or ordering windows there are for mystery boosters. Some people have said their LGS got 1 and that's it. Some people are saying that their LGS is going to be able to get a second wave shortly. So we just don't know in that regard. I don't know. Especially
now with a couple of distributors have started closing off some warehouses, just because they have to. They're literally shutting down, so it's going to be who knows if that's actually going to happen or not. But it's still being overshadowed, like you said, by Mystery Booster, by everything else that they release every week. It seems like at this point. Absolutely. And I do like the product. I think this is a fine taste of things to come. And I know I mentioned it before when they put Sword of Body and Mind in From the Vault Relics. We got in advance of what was coming in that regard. We knew in the fall set that was going to be a premium card in the set coming out. And if these are a Chase and a Master set, or maybe in a second mystery run, because they said those things would change over time. Maybe it is in 6 months the mystery boosters change and these are now there. I think it's fine. And these are going to be different because they have the star and that's it. And that makes them special. But it also makes them easily attainable for people too. You get all 5, bing, bang, boom, done. If you're the kind of person that likes to play Arid Mesa, you could just trade your Scalding Tarn for 2 more Mesas. And you'll be good. Yeah. The thing that really boggles my mind is despite the wallet fatigue, despite how bad everything is, they're still selling products. I just don't understand. After a certain point, like, supply and demand exists. How can this stuff possibly still sell?
I want to point about the irony of selling products when we get to the Chandra spellbook, though, because I have an interesting conversation I have with my LGS. But I don't know. This is the kind of thing where you can throw $170 at it, or because of where we are right now, you could probably scoop like a duel.
Yeah.
Like a plateau or a scrubland. Let me check real quick just to see if those have tanked yet.
They're like 110, 120, so you can definitely pick them up for that. Yeah. Badlands is like 150 to 60.
Yeah, so. 76 for a plateau right now, because people who can't afford to hold them long term, you can pick up 2 plateaus for that, which I think is a safer long term hold than Secret Lair's fetchlands, which we know are going to get some kind of reprint or retreatment. Like, if you want to buy it because it's a cool product, buy it. If you want to buy it because it's a financial vehicle, wrong. Not the one to do.
I just don't think it's right. They're fine. Yeah. The problem is that now that we have these cards with new art, you have to assume that these arts will be what's reprinted in the future.
Yep. But this is also a basic economics lesson. Buy low, sell high. People can't afford to hold on to cards that, while liquid, are holding capital, like dual lands, so they're some of them are dropping. Some of them are still roping, like you see. Buy low there, sell high in a year, because Secret Lairs will have a price on it that's not going down.
Yeah.
Duels are in flux, power is in flux right now, quote-unquote flux. There are deals to be had. That would be a safer investment than Secret Lair's fetch lands. That's all I'm going to say. If you like the art, if you like the product, that's a different story, and you're not wrong to want to buy into it for that reason. Not all. If these were foil, I would have jumped, but not for me. That's fine. Spellbook Chandra.
Spellbooks jam this shit down your throat as much as you humanly possibly can. Great. This
is the irony thing I wanted to talk about. So, like, somewhere around a year ago, we did get the Gideon notification that it was coming out, because it was right around Anime Boston. Like, I was going there. It must have been like the Tuesday or the Wednesday before Anime Boston last year. So we're a couple of weeks early in this. My LGS still has to have over a dozen Gideons. And they're just marked down because they can't move them. I like the fact that they're continuing along with it. I was talking to them before this announcement. I was wondering if we would get the next one, if it was actually going to be a Planeswalker, or if Spellbook EDH Green, whatever that thing is, not Spellbook, was going to be the green Spellbook.
Spellbook EDH Green works,
I thought maybe that's kind of where we were going, was get away from the Planeswalkers. Gideon didn't do so well. Keep the product idea, but change the shape in that sense, right? So you don't stick to, for instance, green would have, Nissa or Freya or whatever green Planeswalker or rookie you want to put there at the helm. It's just good green EDH cards. That's what I thought, because, like I said, I can see Gideon and my LGS every time I walk in, and that's not a unique case. That was not a good spellbook. It's basically sideboard cards and Path to Exile. It's not good. Spellbook Chandra was announced, a very short write-up and 2 card previews in Chandra, Torch of Defiance, and Past in Flames. So immediately, we at least have 2 main deck cards. 2.
Yeah.
Past in Flames is in every Storm deck in Modern and Legacy. I believe both Ant. I know Ant plays it, and I believe Tez plays it as well, because it's pretty much primarily red. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
It's there. Chandra TOD has its place too. Sometimes Jund plays it in Modern if that's the way they want to go, or it's usually in like red Taxes style decks. I think Shortcake and Legacy is known to play 1 or 2 out of the sideboard. This card sees
plenty
play.
Of Pioneer decks.
Yeah. These cards see play. Also, and I'll bring this back up because you might not have seen it, it does have a neat frame.
The frame actually is pretty neat. I like the red flare on the bottom. That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, and if you look closely around the borders of the card, between the two they demonstrate, they're completely different.
Yeah.
The The Chandra Torch of Defiance frame on the original card was not stuck in. Was Kaladesh, was she originally in?
Yeah.
Whatever set that was. It was just the red frame. So they gave it that kind of flame swept look like they did Passive Flames. I think it's pretty neat looking.
Yeah.
I want to see the other cards before I buy in, because there's a very real chance that this just goes downhill immediately, or it's just a retread of Fire and Lightning, dual deck Fire and Lightning, where we'll get Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning or Fire Blast or Price of Progress, and it's just another way to get the same cards out there. But pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
We do have a small number of hard facts about this. It's just those two promos and a release date of June 26th. There's no, suggested retail price.
Yeah.
And I did not buy either Jace or Gideon, but if I remember correctly, we started selling Jace either at 20 or 25 the week they demoed. Maybe a little more for Brainstorm.
I think it was 25 was what most places were doing, but yeah. I think this is, like you said, probably one of the better options that you could have, for a spellbook. It's good main deckable cards so far. It's only 2, sure, but that's more than, like you said, Gideon had. Martyr's Bond for EDH and Path of Exile, and that was it.
Well, Worship,
and
rest
I'm
in peace.
hoping, because Jace had... Oh, yeah, fair.
But there were sideboard cards.
Yeah, and Jace had, Brainstorm, Negate, Counterspell. Those were good. Mystical Tutor, those were good cards.
Oh.
And not that it was insanely financially viable by any means, but I definitely think that, it's a better option than it could have been.
Yes.
That said, I still think, in light of all of the other releases that we're having come out, everything else that's dropping in the market, it's probably going to sit on shelves.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think it'll be as bad by any means, but it will definitely be stuck on shelves at the end.
I would agree with that as well, and it just because it's going to be overshadowed, and there are a lot of good red cards you could put in there for your red mages. Definitely, especially, Burn is easy to step into, and if you do Fire and Lightning again, you still give people a place to get into Price of Progress and Fire Blast. Cards that are necessary for the deck, but harder to find. I forgot that Spellbook Jace had Blue Elemental Blast.
Yeah.
We might get Red Elemental Blast just because of that. And like you said, Brainstorm, Negate, Mystical, Gifts Ungiven, Threads of Disloyalty.
Yeah.
Sideboard card.
Threads was the only miss, which was pretty obscene.
The one thing that I'm kind of surprised about is, generally speaking, they pair Jace Beleren and Chandra Nalaar together for their product. It's just how they've done it over the years, and it's nice to see them step away from that terrible Chandra and use probably what is one of the best Chandras they've made in recent memory.
Yeah.
So
probably ever? Maybe.
I would think so. I didn't want to say that because I'm not a huge Chandra player. I mean, I played the 6-drop from Battle for Zendikar or whatever that was in Standard in the ramp deck, and I played TOD in Standard, and they were both great in their respective decks. But TOD is definitely probably the most played outside of Standard. No. The other 4-drop, the one that costs 3 in a red. The first 4-drop Chandra out of Core.
Yeah.
Was it 2015?
Yeah.
It's going to kill me. I'll figure it out. Pyromaster?
Yeah, that one.
Nope. It's not Pyromaster. That costs 2. Nope, that's 2 in a red. I'll figure this out before it kills me. I can hear people screaming. Chandra, Chandra the Firebrand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Firebrand was good. I mean, we'll see. I think it's fine.
I think that's still the wrong one. There's the one that exiled. Oh, I'll figure it out. All right.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else you wanted to say about it?
Nope, that's pretty much it.
Pyromaster. Jeebus.
Oh, is she the one that makes the lightning elementals, the 3 ones?
No. Let me pull it up.
Let's not get off on that one. Yeah. That's fine. Who cares?
You exile a top card of your library and you may play it. It's 2 and 2 red. That's what I missed on it. If I'd remembered that, if I had been smarter and remembered my Chandras better, we would have been fine. Okay, but you're right. Well, I guess while we're talking about Chandra, do you want to go over your pick?
Oh, yeah. My pick is Acolyte of Flame. It's getting reprinted in the Challenger decks. I think that's just a solid option. It's going to tank. And I don't know if you ever played with that card. That card's really good. Like, real good. So, long term, sure it'll end up in some type of prison-style deck in Pioneer, because I don't feel like there's any way... If there's an Eternal format, people will find a way to make mono red prison in that format.
Yes.
That's just how it is.
Yep.
So, yeah.
It's interesting because of the first 0 on it, where you get to power up all your other Chandras.
Yeah.
So it allows you to get to other Chandra alts a little more reliably. So I definitely like it as a secondary. As I never really played Prison, so I don't know how it fits in that style of deck if you're just making elementals. But it is not bad overall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played it in release. I think was the only time. It was A+.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's also interesting to see on the price graph that the market, and I'll bring it back up because it might have been hard to see. The market actually begins to tank towards the middle of February, like the market value, not the market on Chandra itself.
Yeah.
Begins to tank. It goes down, and then it starts to resurge almost a week ago, and come back before hitting another dip. So it definitely looks like people are picking this card up for reasons. It could be in prep for standard. It could be Chandra tribal. It could be being played elsewhere, and this is a nice, like, kind of medium stock. A $3 Planeswalker when it's not Tibalt is really nothing to sneeze at. So in general, even if you don't own it, you can. Of note, the reason why it was so high for almost a month, if I go back to the stocks graph to bring that up again, close it the other way, was because the Teamer Elemental deck in Standard, in M2020 Standard, like right before or right after the rotation, was like the thing to play. And this, because it made elementals and was super synergistic, the card slided into the deck and just held this really nice price point and playability standard for a rather short time, but it was kind of red hot.
Yeah.
So at any point in time after rotation, we could see that happen again. I know people are playing elementals, quote unquote, a little bit right now in standard. It's not doing terribly well in arena, but there is the opportunity to go to revisit the archetype because it doesn't lose much. Everything it needed was in core 2020 with all the Cavaliers, and was it Omnath.
Omnath.
Yeah, yep. Omnath is in there as well. So you have like the entire suite of cards for this deck already. It's not going anywhere. It has the possibility to just surge back. And you're looking at a card that could easily double if that is the case, because it's just super synergistic with the rest of those pieces. So, like I said, $3, easy scoop for a Planeswalker.
Yeah.
Good choice. I'm sticking with red for my pick. We're going to hang out in that color for a hot minute. But my card is a little more... devious. My card is Storm Herald, and this is something that I picked. I've been mulling it for a little while because people have been fiddle farting around with it, and it's been flat forever, and you can see it, so it looks kind of like a bad hold. But the market on it right now is 25 cents, and that's not terribly great for a card you want to see long-term growth from, because it's been 25 cents for almost its entire release. But what we're seeing now is this deck right here with Eldrazi Conscription in the Hollow One shell basically makes Storm Herald an immediate kill. Eldrazi Conscription is not a legendary enchantment, so you can just blood out somebody in the face. And it's good. So deck came out 2 weeks ago, maybe a little more than that. I saw the first dregs of this. This is why I talked about Storm Herald a little earlier. Saffron Olive did a quick deck tech on it that somebody picked up on, and this tweet that went by today is the kind of current version, quote unquote. This is what Saffron Olive, I believe, had in his list, and people are running with it. It's kind of putting up middling results, everywhere from 4-1s to 2-3s. So again, we're not seeing it 5-0 yet. It's still floating under the radar. But it has the opportunity to pop at any moment, just like the Hollow One deck did a year and a half ago, almost 2 years, because it's essentially the exact same deck minus Gurmag Anglers and Faithless Looting.
Yep.
Plus Ox of Aragonis, the Storm Heralds, and the Eldrazi Conscriptions. Like I said, otherwise it's almost the exact same deck. It still plays really well. The format is not quite tuned for it right now, and with the bannings that just happened, there is a hole.
It'll be a while before it is.
Yeah, and there's kind of a hole in the control game right now, so you can just kind of squeeze in as this aggro deck and blood out people. The other thing is, with Storm Herald, we're not long on ways to put enchantments into the graveyard in EDH decks that include red, but you can essentially combo kill somebody out of the game with Storm Herald and enough chicanery in your graveyard. It always has the ability to just hit an EDH. They do weird things with enchantments all the time, so it does have the ability to pop there as well randomly. For a quarter, for a card that's currently floating around, I'd say in the mid tiers in the modern metagame, we need people to kind of pick up and run with it. The first 5-0 or 2 should push people towards this deck and start testing with it, and that's when we'll see it move from a quarter. Currently in standard, currently in promo packs, it's being super duper duper suppressed, but even for 25 cents, going in on a 3 play sets 12 is just over like a $3 investment.
Yeah.
And when that if and when that card hits $1 and you get out at 60 to 75 cents each, you've tripled. You know, you can nickel and dime your way there. You don't need to buy 118 of them.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It is. So I like this card, and I would move on it sooner rather than later, because, like I said, the more people that play this, if Saffron Olive ever comes back around and does a full video on it where he plays a league with it, we're going to see a lot of people pick up on it and follow it, because it was just a quick deck tech. People couldn't really see what the deck did, enjoy the content, enjoy the shenanigans, literally and figuratively, that go on with this deck. There's not a lot of people moving on it. So this is kind of a PSA. It's coming. It's my pick. You can get in on it or don't. Up to you. But if you want a quicker flip, this is the card. Yeah.
So then, now that we've covered that, do we want to... I guess it's going to be pretty brief. We posted earlier, there was a video where I announced, in light of all the events being canceled, like GPs, we're postponing the NAMI events. So what does no GPs mean?
Yep. I forgot about this. We were going to touch on this as vendors. I skipped right over it.
It's real bad.
Yeah.
So buy prices have tanked because you don't know when you're going to be able to buy. And maybe it's a little bit predatory. A lot of companies have realized, well, if they're not going to come to us, but they need to sell these cards, they'll still sell them.
Yes.
So buy prices have started tanking. The market is in a pretty low spot. Cards that used to be $18 3 weeks ago are down to $12 now on buy lists with GP vendors that you're just mailing into. And the thing is, like, you don't really have a choice. It sucks for a lot of vendors that were dependent on GPs as like their primary business model.
Yes.
Because they may actually disappear now, because that was how they were able to acquire cards.
Mm-hmm.
And without that venue, if you don't have an LGS, or if your brick and mortar is forcibly closed, you just don't have a way to bring those cards in to have extra income.
Yep.
So I think we're going to see something that's going to be, we'll probably see some of the regular GP vendors just disappear altogether, literally because they don't have a way to bring cards in.
Yep. Without GPs, if you don't have your own brick and mortar, you're competing with all the other riffraff on Facebook or Craigslist or was it Kijiji in Canada, etc. And it's much harder to make your margins that way. We're going to see a lot of loss in that regard. And one of the things we might actually kind of see is back to that boys club of vendors where you're going to go to every GP after this and you're only going to see the big players in the space again. CFB will be there, of course, but you might see StarCity show up on the East Coast. You might see Troll and Toad in the middle of the U.S. You might see, RIW get out a little more, or stores like that. Toa will probably take over a little more. Comic Book Shop might start coming out again. Gaming, etc. Strike Zone, those guys might just be the de factos again. You might not get the smaller individuals like Pink Bunny who would hit GPs every now and again.
Yeah.
But I don't believe he has a brick and mortar. anymore. I think he just does TCG. So it's like it's gonna be difficult.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be interesting to see. This is a unique event in the history of Magic. Obviously, 9/11 happened, but there weren't large-scale events cancellations because right now we're canceled through May.
Yep.
For GPs, we're canceled through the end of April for Star Cities, and who knows about after that? Like, we just don't know. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be very interesting to see.
Yep.
I mentioned at work earlier, I feel weird saying this, but I consider myself fortunate that I get to see such a unique financial event. Just from a purely academic standpoint, it sucks. It's awful. It's terrible.
Yeah.
But this is something we're going to talk about for years to come. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yep.
What happens.
Oh, definitely. I'm sure we'll keep up with it as it goes. Like right now, Magic is dropping, but sports cards are booming, which is kind of interesting.
All aboard the Cowboys rookie train.
Don't
sure. Do that. It's lighting money on fire. Don't do that. It's a bad idea, and I'm doing it anyways.
Yeah, you can get them all graded, and it's even worse too. But people are using that as a safe haven for certain bits and bobs, like certain rookie cards and stuff like that are holding money, and people are moving in as if it's a safe bet. Whatever. But it'll be interesting, and I think it's something we can keep people up to date on, just because we have that insight. I already know like the one event I was definitively contracted for, Anime Boston, was canceled definitively over the weekend with no option for rescheduling. So every vendor that was attached to the show as of Sunday morning for 2020 will be there for 2021.
Yeah.
There's no, because it's all volunteer.
Yep.
So nothing. Maybe Anime Expo, maybe Anime Central, maybe that kind of stuff I'll get to, but who knows with however long this goes.
Yeah, so. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Buy mystery boosters, I guess, because some people are still floating the buy list on those. If you can find it for like under $200.
Yeah, still fine.
That would be it, I guess. It was kind of weird doing things out of order, and I apologize. I completely forgot about this topic. Maybe I'll finally edit an episode. Who knows?
Yeah.
We'll see. But thanks for listening, guys. We'll keep you up to date with the NAMI event because it does affect the both of us and Magic as a community. So as we find out details, we'll get you going in that. But otherwise, I'm at HaltIam Reptar on Twitter. You are
at Thirsty Sizzler.
We are at MtG Cabalcast on Twitter and Patreon and Facebook. And in the next couple of weeks, we'll be starting our off-cycle Patreon-only podcast. Quote unquote.
Yep.
But we'll see you guys next week.
See ya.